G'day guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm gonna feature this really interesting product from CIGA Design, which I understand is actually a subsidiary of Xiaomi, you know, that big Chinese company whose smartwatch I reviewed not so long ago. So take a look at that if you're interested. And this one again is courtesy of GearBest, who has provided this product for review. But it really has been marketed widely. It's available just about any of those online Chinese retailers, you know, definitely AliExpress, Banggood, TomTop, all of those, they have this watch. They are certainly marketing it aggressively. And just to show you, it does have this mark here that it's a Red Dot Design Award from 2017. I don't know much about this, but on my reading, it is actually a Germany established award, and it has been around for a while. 1950s, I believe, is when it was established. So it certainly has some degree of prestige. It's not just something that is new, and certainly not just an Eastern thing. It appears to be a European thing. So up the top here, you have Youpin, which really just means product. It's quite interesting they've chosen to put that as the name of this particular product. So without further ado, let's just get into the packaging here, which really, you know, take a look at that, less than an inch thick, right? Just like a book. And then you've got the relief of the watch design, CIGA Design up the top there. Again, Red Dot Design Award. And let's just open this up. So you got a little bit more kind of copyright, like a book, and a insert here just to judgment of the I guess the panel from the Red Dot Design, and it says that due to its innovative construction, wristwatch is robust, very versatile, furthermore striking appearance provides added appeal. So kind of like the summary of the reasoning behind the designer watch, which is really quite interesting. And then just take a look at this. What a cheeky design, isn't it? That's the watch there ticking away, and then you have kind of a little bit more description, kind of just talking about the features of the watch. And then you've got, of course, the bands down the bottom here. And now it comes with a mesh, okay? And then it also comes with an optional leather strap, which is less of an interest to me, but I'll just quickly show you. Right, optional leather, it does have those quick release feature there, right? Nothing much to write home about, I think, this leather strap. And that's a release kind of tool for the strap, the bracelet, right? You can use that to release that for adjustment. And then that's just the other end of the leather band there. So I'm just going to leave that aside and actually assemble it with the bracelet, which is really how I've used this watch. This is certainly my preference. If you know me, I am very much a bracelet guy, not so much a leather strap guy. So, you know, just very nice little job here. You know, you can just put it in, and then with a quick release. All right, that's that there. And then on the other side, similar thing. A bit tricky to do it on camera, but you know, even so, it was easy enough. And just take a look at the watch here. So just to show you guys, this is the Xiaomi Youpin CIGA Design automatic skeleton watch. This is really just a description. There is no other name for this watch really. It's just a skeletonized dial watch. So I'm just going to put the rest of the packaging aside now and just focus on this. So over here we have what it appears to be a custom seagull movement. They say it's a seagull AAA, AAA movement. I don't know what that actually denotes. I can't seem to find much about it, but you know, description of the product says that it's a custom seagull movement. So that perhaps actually is what it is. It's a custom movement for this watch, this company. 21,600 beat per hour is what it runs at, rated at 19 joules and 40 hour power reserve. And certainly it does appear to run at that. And look at that, you know, there's blued screws. It's really quite, yeah, it really is quite fascinating, you know, the way that this custom movement has been designed, and the way that you can actually just look through it to the back, right? And the fact that it's only held at the four corners, it's really something that is striking, I think. It does have hacking and manual winding, of course, but it doesn't have date and this watch doesn't have any lume at all. You can see that probably immediately as you look at it. Some listings describe this case as anti-seismic, which is really interesting. I've never heard that before. Presumably that refers to shock protection, whereby the movement is secured to the case by shock absorbent material, thereby granting shock resistance. But there you go, guys. This is the first earthquake proof watch that I've ever featured. G-Shock, eat your heart out. The case is a 40mm square black PVD steel. So it is square, but the lugs do stick out. So whilst the square is 40mm, it does have a lug to lug distance of 46.5, which is very, very modest, I think. The thickness that you can see there is 11.5mm, and the lug to the inter lug distance, right? The lug width is 22mm. Right? And the weight of this watch overall is around 80 grams. So it's actually quite light, despite the fact that it's steel. I think that's probably attributable to the fact that it's got a skeletonized movement, and the mesh doesn't add a great deal to it. So that 80 grams is with the mesh. The leather would be a bit lighter still. Okay, so in terms of finishing, it's actually kind of just a straight up polished black PVD all around, rounded side. But the case back, whilst it's black PVD, there is a brush finish there around the side there. It's kind of longitudinal brush. You can see that it's actually secured by screws, right? A number of screws around the side. So certainly it won't be a screw in case back, not with that shape by any means. And then the crown is actually a push crown, but I'll just show you the crown. It's got actually some, kind of a grip pattern there. And they call that a pineapple crown, which is kind of a cute little name actually. There's no sign on the top there. So push crown, screw in case back, screw secured case back, comes up to 30 meters for the water rating there. Now take a look at the dial, fully skeletonized, right? That kind of like dark gray for the frame there, really quite interesting. And around that is, I guess, not a chapter ring, it's a chapter square, you can see, where the minute markings are printed around the inside, just under the edge of the sapphire glass there. And yes, it is a flat sapphire that you have on top of this sapphire crystal protecting the watch. The hands are polished skeleton hands, okay, with red tips, and it's got a fully red second hand beating around that you can see there. Okay, and again, as I mentioned, no lume. All right, moving on to the bracelet. You've seen this briefly already, but I'll just show it to you in detail. It is a black mesh. I suppose you might call this Milanese. Maybe it's slightly more granular than the Milanese, but it's close to it. And the quality is not bad at all. It feels really quite good in hand, the quality of this mesh that they've achieved here. And it's got that quick release little lever, as you've seen. And it's got also a double security clasp, so that part hooks on, right? And then you got another thing that kind of clasps on top to have that double security, right? And you've seen that optional leather band there. I'm not going to mention that again. So let's just try this on for the wrist shot now. And there we have it, the Xiaomi Youpin automatic skeleton dial watch by CIGA Design on my 17cm wrist. And that's absolutely, modestly sized, no problems at all for me to carry that. 46.5mm lug to lug, just remember, and just 11.5 millimeters on the thickness. And immediately you can see, on the side, you can actually think it's an Apple Watch. It really, a lot of the design cues look like Apple's watch, right? I think there's no question about that particular aspect. So guys, that's the watch. What have I found, really good about this? I think it's just a fascinating design. It's got a genuine feel of substance. In pictures, you might think it looks cheap and nasty. And some people have said that, and most people that I've shown pictures to, they kind of say, oh, it looks kind of cheap. And yes, I can see where they're coming from, because it's this black PVD, it can be nasty, but in hand, there is a real feel of quality and substance, and that custom movement is a great talking point. It's got a good quality feel to it, it's got a good quality mesh, and anybody who has seen this wants to hold it and, kind of have a look at that movement, because it really is attractive and draws the eye and is a great conversation starter. So far, I've only used this for a week, but that's my experience with this watch. It really is that great. What's the weaknesses you might, kind of have, and reservations you might have? Well, on the side, it can easily be mistaken for an Apple Watch at first glance. But really, that's just at first glance. Anybody who looks around at the face will realize this is something very different, and then immediately they want to ask about it, which is really an enjoyable part of wearing this watch. Maybe some people have looked at it and then not looked a second time and just assumed I was wearing an Apple Watch. That is a bit of a negative, I guess. I don't really, I don't really want people to think this is an Apple Watch. I guess I don't care so much if they make that mistake, but I'd rather they realize what it is and start that conversation, which is fascinating. The dial, I would say, it can be difficult to read. It's, if you catch the reflection on the hands, yes, that's fine. But in other lighting circumstances, it's got those red tips, but even so, that's all dark colors. You have to stare at it for a little bit to get the time out of it at times. There is no lume, there is no date. So if you're after the practicality, this isn't a watch for you. It's just a plain three-hander automatic. It doesn't have those other features. Certainly no other complications apart from the skeletonized dial. And then lastly, I'll say that despite the quality of the rest of the watch, the mesh, this clasp is rather weak. It's pressed metal. It feels like you can bend it without too much trouble. It's got that CIGA design there. And this part here where you lift it up to adjust that feels like it might give if you do it too many times with that tool that I showed you to lift that up to move this for adjustment. This feels like this is probably the weakest part of the whole watch, which is, a little bit of a pity, but otherwise a great product. So guys, there we have it. The Xiaomi Youpin CIGA Design automatic skeleton dial watch. Let me know what you think of this product. It's really been a fascinating experience. I didn't expect to like it as much as I have. Just take a look at that movement. But I have really quite enjoyed this. So let me know your thoughts, particularly if you own this product or something similar from Xiaomi or from CIGA Design there. Guys, if you enjoy my videos, consider subscribing. I put out new content weekly, always aiming to be objective and unbiased about all things horology. Thank you again for sticking with me, and as always, I'll catch you guys next time.